What's up guys, Bluddshed here, bringing you the zdps Barbarian for Diablo 3, patch 2.4.2, season 7, now zBarb. There are so many damn ways to play zBarb. The reason why there's so many different ways is because it's better depending on your group comp, depending on what you're doing, whether you're pushing progression or farming rifts or mid-high level, right? There's just so many different combinations. I'm gonna cover like the basics of zBarb and kind of what I'm gonna be doing on stream. Every time I stream something, I get lots of questions, so hopefully this will alleviate a lot of those questions. If you're interested in zBarb, I would check out Diablo fans. There's so many great builds, so many different people on Reddit, just posting different things all the time. So I would kind of custom design your zBarb to suit your specific group needs. Now, Bloodshed, what the hell is a zBarb? A zBarb has 0 DPS. The Z stands for 0. Okay, so the main reason why people even want zBarbs in the group is because of Ignore Pain. Ignore Pain is going to give your group crowd control immunity. No more frozen, no more knockbacks. Your group is immune as long as it's active, right? And it gives you a modest 25% damage reduction on top of that, so that's pretty good. It would be even worth it without the damage reduction, honestly. The CC immunity is amazing. So your job is to keep this up all the time. Now, Bloodshed, it says the cooldown's 30 seconds, WTF, right? So there's a lot of ways we can have perma Ignore Pain. You want to stack as much CDR as possible into your build itself. So I like to run with at least 50% plus like sheet cooldown reduction, okay? So we have that on our character. We're going to get 15% from the Gogok of Swiftness, so it's going to boost up our cooldown reduction even further. In addition, the Pride of Cassius, you want a 6-second Cassius belt, right? You can roll from 4 to 6 seconds. And then of course the Zodiac Ring is going to lower our cooldown reduction on top of everything. Our second buff is War Cry. So War Cry is a rallying cry to increase your armor for you and your allies by 20% for 120 seconds. And it also increases your dodge chance. Now, you can play around with War Cry, like I said, depending on your specific group setup. I like Veteran's Warning. Hardened Wrath, that's another popular one right now. For 5 seconds, you gain an additional 60% increased armor. Basically, what you want to do is, if Brother Anselm was in our group, you want to pop Ignore Pain so he gets that. You want to pop our War Cry so he gets that buff. And it also does speed up the group, so you want to use it in between packs, right? And then you want to pull mobs with Q, right? So this is what the chain does. You just want to go over here, you want to grab mobs, throw both of your buffs on your group, and leave and pull mobs closer from farther away, right? But a lot of the times, especially if you're running pugs or newbie groups or mid-level, even mid-level groups, right? You want to stay within the group. In addition, when you're here and there's mobs around, you want to debuff them with Threatening Shout, Falter. Now this has been used by barbs for a long time, right? So you want to falter these bastards while they're here and then continuously keep the group buffed. You obviously want to use Bash. Bash is our single target ability. You want to use that for Rift Guardians, and you can use it on yellow packs as well. What Bash is going to do is going to give you Fury, which is a good thing because we're using Ancient Spear, right? You can see it's eating up our Fury down there. And it also debuffs the enemy further. They have a 10% chance to be increased critically striked. So it's another buff for the group. Alright, let's talk about Furious Charge. So since we're using the 4-piece Raycore set, we have access to every Furious Charge rune. So as long as you're charging 2 to 3 enemies at a time, you should be able to continuously Furious Charge throughout the rift. And we have high cooldown reduction as well, so we're pretty much going to have perma charges back and forth. Another thing that you get with Furious Charge is the freeze. All enemies hit are frozen for 2.5 seconds. So if this was a Rift Guardian, I would pretty much just sit here and bash him for the most part. Obviously, I would buff my group, like we said, and debuff with Threatening Shout. And when I see him about to do some savage shit to my team, then I freeze him, right? So you can use it. I don't know every single combination out there, but I know there's some things you can cancel. Okay, for stat priorities, okay, cooldown reduction is number 1. Cooldown reduction with being buffed, you want to be over 60%, okay? Your second one is attack speed. You want to be able to slap chop these people right in the mouth. So attack speed is number 2. The third would be reduced resource cost because we need to chain gang, right? We need to be throwing out spears and we need to not run out of spears because if you're not pulling, then what is your purpose, right? And then the fourth one I would say would be critical hit chance because I do like Selenium in the cube. Critical hits have a 4% chance to spawn health globes. So if we have no crit, then what's the point of having Selenium? So we need a little bit of crit, but it's not like you don't want to sacrifice any of the aforementioned stats to do so. I think that covers most of the skills. Inspiring Presence obviously buffs our shouts. Pound of Flesh, so when you're healed by Health Globe, which pairs with Selenium, you gain 2% life regeneration and 4% movement speed. So it all synergizes together. Relentless is amazing. I really like it a lot. And then Nerves of Steel is a cheat death passive. Like if you're alive, you're able to keep your group alive. So I like Nerves of Steel. The amulet slot is really up to you. You can use the Eye of Etlich is what I personally use and a lot of top barbs use. You can use an immunity amulet like Zephyrian Amulet or anything like that. If you do decide to go with Hellfire Amulet, I would probably use Sword and Board if you're using a shield, obviously. If you're not using a shield, I would probably use Superstition just for more fury, more non-physical damage. And yeah, those are probably the two I would swap back and forth in between. Illusory boots are pretty good for just getting around and moving unhindered through enemies. You obviously need Nemesis Bracers for the pylons. You can use the Cassius in the cube and use Chelonics Chain if you get a really good one. And the Band of Might is amazing, a must-have, I think, because 60% damage reduction is no joke. And you're going to be Furious charging every, 8 seconds anyway. As far as weapons go, I'm on the fence about this. I think this really depends on your group comp and what you're doing. But the reason why we use BK weapons is because we get more Fury generation from the weapons. Tied for my favorite are the Slander and Little Rogue combo. Every time you spend a primary resource, gain attack speed, damage, and armor for 5 seconds. So this is like kind of my favorite as well. Like I like both of them and I kind of swap back and forth between the two. If you're in a bind, you can always use the Oathkeeper with Blade of the Warlord. Now the good thing about Oathkeeper is it's going to increase your actual attack speed, right? So you're actually getting 50% more attack speed of Bash, which is kind of cool. I mean, you don't really do damage, but whatever. You get more fury, I guess. And then Blade of the Warlord, Bash consumes up to 40 fury to deal 405. I guess it would be up to 500% if you get a better roll than I got. 500% increased damage, which is kind of cool. And the main thing for Blade of the Warlord is it's actually going to proc your Zodiac ring. So you're going to get more cooldown reduction on that as well. So that's kind of a cool combo between the two. And then if you're super desperate, this is like the first combination I had while I was gearing. Pig Sticker with a Storm Shield, right? So and then you can use Sword and Board, Hellfire Amulet passive for that, right? It's just you attack a lot slower, but you can see. Another good reason of the Pig Sticker is because you get an extra stat slot. What I mean by that is the Pig Sticker always rolls with like reduced resource cost, so you already have one of the key stat points that we need, and then you can get like attack speed, and then I can reroll my Vitality and get cooldown reduction. So on this one item, which has great attack speed, it has attack speed on the item, it has reduced resource costs, and on top of that I can get CDR on the weapon. So you can see how it's just like a stat stick, a fast stat stick, right? If you're gearing out your character and you don't have a Band of Might, you can use an Aquila Cuirass. You can probably fit it in somewhere in here. Like you don't really need Chelonics Chain. It increases your movement speed for you and your allies by 40%, which is great. You want to use it in between packs and things like that. But if you're a new barb and you don't have any damage reduction, I would probably roll with Aquila Cuirass in the cube just until you get the Band of Might. As far as Paragon goes, I would definitely cap out maximum fury. Like you want to have a lot of fury, you want to be throwing those chains out like we were talking about. Obviously movement speed to 25% based on your gear, so it really depends on what you have on your boots. I happen to have 10% on my boots, so 10 plus 15 is the 25 cap. And I like Vitality. We don't put any points in Strength. We're a zBarb, right? Z. As far as offense go, you definitely want CDR number 1, attack speed 2, and then crit for Selenium, and then critical hit damage. Why not? We have the points anyway. For defense, I like life percent first, and then all res second, and then armor third, since we get a lot of armor from strength, and then life regeneration last. As far as utility goes, definitely reduce resource costs. Life per hit, and then gold fine. We get no gold fine in greater rifts, but why not just put them there. And then I have no points in area damage. Life per hit, you can actually do without it. It might lag your group, but area damage definitely lags, so you don't want to put any points. You can see I have 50 points left over. Do not put points in area damage. That's kind of like a no-no. I didn't cover the Oculus ring, but it's been the best in slot support item, best in slot. follower item. It creates a ring of power on the ground, and it gives you up to an 85% increased damage for your group, and it is multiplicative, so it's super powerful. It's an amazing ring right now. White gems in your gear, life on hit gems in your weapons. As far as legendary gems go, I like Esoteric Alteration. I like the Gogok of Swiftness and the Gem of Toxin. You can swap out Esoteric for whatever you prefer. This is really like the open slot. So you can use whatever amulet you want, whatever legendary gem right here you want. You don't have to use Eso. You can use whatever boots you like. There's a lot of room to play around, whatever weapons you like. So you can see there's lots of different combinations, different runes in your gear. This is just what I like so far. I played this combination last season and playing it a little bit this season as well. zBarb is the workhorse. You are doing a lot of the work. The better and better you get, the more effective your group will do. If you're only fighting 3 or 4 mobs, you need to like leave, right? You need to find more mobs. You guys need to move on. You can dictate the pace. You can really kind of set the tone for the group, and the harder you work, the more mobs that the DPS gets to kill and the faster you progress. It's one of the harder support classes. It is the hardest support class to play, and yeah, but it's very rewarding. You'll notice yourself getting invites because of your good work. It does pay off, and welcome to the zBarb, my friends, welcome. All right, my friends, that's gonna be all for me today. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below. You can go to twitch.tv/bloodshed. You can ask me questions there. I'm gonna be playing this on and off with the clan. If you want to join a clan, we're called the Blood Brothers on North America. We have an EU charter as well. You can join them. We have a Blood Corps. Blood Corps is our hardcore branch. It's a new guild we created, and we're pretty much accepting everyone in that one specifically. If you don't want to leave your clan, we have a community called the Blood Brothers as well. Check out some of my other videos here on the screen if you're interested in that. But I think that's it. I think I covered everything. Oh, thanks for my Patreon bros. My Patreon bros are definitely keeping us going strong. Thank you so much for that. This is the Bloodshed, and I'm out of here. Peace.